Hey Liam, so sorry it took such a long time to get these back to you, but I'm going to answer these questions this way. Along with this Loom video should be a transcript under it, so you can just grab the copy and paste of the transcript if that makes it easier to print the answers. So let's start. Every comic book hero has an origin story. What is my origin story? Points if I tell it like a comic book origin. Ooh, okay. Um, hmm. My origin story, I am from Enfield, Connecticut, which is a small city in northern Connecticut. And I was singing by the time I could make noise, according to sources, aka my parents. And I just always loved making sound. Creating melodies. I had an ear for lyric and melody. I loved dance. Um, so I started performing very young. And in school, I did things like chorus and dance lessons and theater camps in the summer, and then started doing professional musical theater by the time I was 12. So that was at the Goodspeed Opera House. So there is a comic book origin because the show I did was Annie, and Annie is a comic book strip. Annie started as a comic strip. So I was Little Orphan Annie at the Goodspeed Opera House in 1996, and that kicked off my professional career, which then evolved into some film and TV. And then when I went to college, I decided to become a singer-songwriter and, decided somebody has to be the next Billy Joel. So I guess I'll do it. And yeah, that's really the beginnings of it. So I was lucky that my parents really supported making music. They put me in piano lessons at age 7. They supported my journey with voice lessons and dance lessons. I had an incredible high school chorus called Voices Incorporated that I got to be a part of. And being a part of community theater in Enfield, Connecticut and the surrounding areas was also a major part what, of laying the groundwork for becoming a professional performer and writer. All right, first song, latest song. Describe the first song and the latest. What are the differences? Okay. Well, it depends how far back we want to go, because really, like, the very first song is probably something that I made up off the top of my head when I was a little kid and can't even remember. One very early song I do remember was called Gone Fishing. I wrote it with my best friend, Michelle, when I was young to perform in our neighborhood circus that we had created. And we performed it in my driveway with a simple step touch choreography that went along with it. Amazing. But there was no production, there was no arrangement, there was no recording. So sadly, if that exists, it's on a VHS probably somewhere. The first song I recorded when I thought, okay, I'm being a professional songwriter now, like that's what I'm doing, was a song called The Light is Green. And it was the story of Billy, possibly inspired by Billy Joel. Yeah, it was, the character's name was Billy, and Billy was a guy who, had big, big dreams and couldn't seem to get started, couldn't seem to like get his feet on the ground and decide which way he wanted to go. And looking back on it, that's certainly for sure, that's been a hallmark of my journey over many years, is having so many ideas and sometimes not being able to like decide and commit and get traction. Or at least that's how it feels to me. Um, the latest song that I just recorded this week, a song called Lately, which is a collaboration with Charu Suri, who is an Indian raga jazz composer, and I'll be performing with her at Carnegie Hall on April 5th. So this song is similar to the standard American songbook style. So, think those old jazz standards that we know and love. The song feels very similar to that. Charu wrote the music and I wrote the melody and the lyrics over it. And it's come to think of it, wow, this is actually, I am just realizing this. The theme is kind of similar to The Light is Green, in that Lately is told from the perspective of somebody who is just feeling a general malaise in life and kind of a wistful, hoping for the next thing, like what's the next thing, but they don't quite have the motivation and the clarity of what they want it to be yet. So it's very funny. I'm just realizing as I'm telling you this, the similarities there. So anyway, lately is The Light is Green was like a rock, a pop rock tune. And all that exists is an acoustic demo of that song, just me and the piano. It was never recorded for release. Whereas lately will come out on April 5th. That's our plan, is it will come out the day that we do Carnegie Hall. Next question. A unique feeling about my first show. What was my first show like? What was my best show like? Okay. My first show that I really would consider to be my show was at CBGB's Gallery in New York, which I don't think exists anymore. And there were 7 people in the audience, one of whom was my mom, who had helped tote my keyboard from Queens to the show. And it was thrilling in some ways and terrifying in some ways. And I feel like that has not changed so much for me in terms of performing. There are moments and parts of performing that are really connective and elevated for me, and then other parts that are really scary for me in certain ways. And but yeah, it was in this dingy old club, and I stood at the keyboard. So it was like just me, solo piano singing. I think I had a 45-minute set. What was my best show like? Well, there have been so many fantastic shows for different reasons. I think one of the best shows was getting to perform at Rockwell Hall at Buffalo State University with the Goo Goo Dolls. And that was a big launch for Not So Different, which is a song that I wrote for autism awareness. And then we did a version of it with the Goo Goo Dolls and Mary Ramsey from 10,000 Maniacs. And we did this huge benefit concert that supported the Institute for Autism Research at Canisius College. And I got to open for Mary and the Goo Goo Dolls and then sing Not So Different with them. And it was just an incredible thrill to have the audience of about, I think, 900 people in the hall who already knew the song and they could sing the chorus with us. There's a hey, yeah part in the chorus that is designed for our audience to sing along with us. And they already knew it. And it was just such a rush. Also to perform with the Goo Goo Dolls and 10,000 Maniacs, who are incredible acts. The Goo Goo Dolls were actually my first big concert, my first big shed concert when I was a teenager, that my parents dropped me off with my friend. And we got to go to the concert alone, and we were singing Goo Goo Dolls and Sugar Ray and Fastball, I think was the tour. All right, perspective on the genre I play or genres I hover around. So I think of myself as somewhere, in the pop singer-songwriter realm. I have crossed, I would say that like what I do has gotten comparisons or feedback from people who say, hey, it's a little folky, it's a little jazzy, you sound like you have some country in your voice, oh, you should be doing musical theater. So I think I don't know if it's because I started as a musical theater actress that I kind of chameleon myself into these different genres somewhat easily. And especially as a writer, I feel like it's easy for me to take on different personalities and perspectives and even language patterns as a writer to enhance whatever project I'm a part of. My own center as an artist, I feel, is very classic piano playing singer songwriter. So whatever that means to somebody, obviously we've got classic singer songwriters like Carole King and Billy Joel who wrote lots of songs that were in lots of styles, from country to R&B to rock to doo-wop. So, I think ultimately the core of my artistry is the songs, and being a songwriter kind of supersedes genre. All right. Memories and give birth to dreams. Dreams. Okay, where do I see myself next year and in the next 5 years? Okay, cool. Well, I'd love to see myself next year on the radio, performing on much bigger stages and festivals like Newport Folk, and Red Rocks is a dream venue, opening for bigger acts, or maybe even, headlining theaters, smaller, those types of spaces like theaters and bigger clubs. It'd be awesome to be playing more shows and also to have a song on the radio. That'd be awesome. And in 5 years, 5 years, wow, 5 years. In 5 years, I would love to see a very balanced, easy flow of performances and songwriting, contributing as a songwriter on many artist projects and projects for movies and TV and ads, and also performing and still getting to get up in front of an audience and create that connection, share the songs, have an awesome, what I think of as like an elevation and a connection. It's like we come to have this communal healing experience, and maybe that is really high energy sometimes, and maybe it's more low key at other times, but it's about being vulnerable and being willing to be there and allow the experience to unfold how it will, knowing that it's never going to be like this again. I love that. So I see myself doing a lot more of that, and really enjoying it in the next 5 years. Let's see, support from those around us and impressed by our fellow performers. So definitely who I admire in my community, always my collaborators. I am consistently impressed and amazed by the people I work with. So right now, those are people like Charu Suri and Jim Mastriani, who produced the Saratoga Sessions, my latest EP. I think what I've noticed is that if I ask questions and get curious and then listen, there's something to learn from almost everybody, no matter what their accomplishments, no matter what level they're at, whether they're, in my community or not. But a few of the other artists in my community that I really admire are Nicole Zaritis, who just won the Grammy for Best Jazz Vocal Album, and Matt Cuson, who is also a collaborator and just super talented and awesome, cool dude. I love his music and his arranging and producing. I'm trying to think of who else. And as far as songwriters, I really admire songwriters who show up to support their fellow songwriting community, to advocate for songwriter and creative rights, and to utilize their talents and their network to do good for causes, and charitable causes. So a few people that I really noticed doing that I'd love to shout out are Sam Hollander, Autumn Rowe, who is involved in so many arts advocacy things, and Ross Golan is another one who does a lot of advocacy work, and I really admire. I think that's all the questions. Okay, I'm going to send this back to you, and I hope you're having a fantastic week. And let me know when this is going to run, if you need anything else, and I appreciate it so much.